Boom, what is up guys? Jonathan here. Welcome back to the channel. So inside of today's video, what I'm going to be doing is starting the success series. So inside of this series, what I plan on doing is bringing out the people that exemplify and are pretty much the pinnacle of success. With this episode, we're going to bring out my boy ODI Productions, and this guy really does not need need an intro. My computer screen actually just turned off. He's a full-time affiliate marketer. He's a car enthusiast. He's a mind enthusiast, and this guy is just a pinnacle of success. And I cannot wait to show you guys this interview that I did with him, and it's going to be a pretty short episode. Plan on making it really good, and I hope you guys get a ton of value out of this. So see you in the interview.
All right, and we are recording. What's up, everybody? Jonathan here, coming at you with a really exclusive interview with my man ODI Productions. If this is the first time you're seeing Odie, you've probably seen him a lot online. He's done a bunch of YouTube videos on affiliate marketing, all around mindset, success. Just he's pinnacle of success, guys. And I'm really happy to have him on here. It's pretty awesome after, him having have launched his new course called Passive Income Lifestyle, getting in there, being able to meet, all these amazing entrepreneurs inside of that program. It's honestly insane. And being able to be one of the success stories from that program, along with a couple of my other good buddies that I now am really close friends with, like Mike Valle, a couple other cool people, just absolutely amazing, man. But I'm not going to do too much. I just want to get into, a little bit with you, Odie. But, how you been, man? It's been a while since we've seen you online.
Yeah. It's funny because I just finished filming my second YouTube video of this year. So it's like March 2019. But I just finished filming the second video of the whole year. I mean, I've never been super active on YouTube. Like maybe it was posting like once a week. At the most, it was maybe twice a week for a little bit. But for the most part, not like super crazy in terms of like posting on Instagram and YouTube and social media. But looking forward to getting back on that. But I've been spending so much time, behind the scenes with you guys, with the students, you, Mike, and everyone else who's in Passive Income Lifestyle. I've been pretty active in that. So that's, I had to shift my priorities around a little bit, but yeah.
Right on. No, and I actually want to touch a little bit on that because, I mean, guys, we're not going to get too much into Odie's backstory because he has tons of interviews out there with tons of other people sharing his backstory, which I'm not going to waste your guys' time because you guys really want to learn, you want to grow, and you want to get the value that you guys want from this interview. And it's going to be absolutely amazing. So I want to touch on that, because you say that you're not so highly, focused on social media. And whenever, I follow you on Instagram, and a bunch of other people do as well. Whenever you're on Instagram, I see three things besides, always cars and food.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I always see these three things. I see that you're, well, if I could sum it down into one thing, it's that you don't, how would I say this? You don't revolve around, you don't live life through your phone. You live life by living it,
Yeah.
and that's like the simplest way that I could put it, because whenever somebody, like, especially in this affiliate marketing or internet marketing, people just love to be on the laptop. Like, that's how me saying it that much is like the reality. I don't know if you can agree, but it's so damn true.
No, it is. Yeah. It's epidemic.
Yeah, it's insane. But so what are your thoughts on that? Like balancing work and balancing life, right?
Yeah. See, I've done both in the sense that, before the whole social media stuff, before I shared my story on YouTube, I mean, I was all behind the scenes. And, with my first website, my first profitable website, which, you know about, and I've shared on YouTube, like I was just a producer. And my start was as a music producer. So as a music producer, you're the guy behind the scenes. You're not the artist. You're not the person who's on the microphone, who's on the magazines and the videos. Like, you're the guy behind the boards, right? You don't see this person. And I've always been a more behind the scenes type person, whether it's personality, whether it's just like preference. But I've always liked being behind the scenes, even from, my background as a music producer. Now, when I transitioned into business, I kept the same thing. I didn't want to share my face or my name or anything. I want to maintain total privacy and just run these businesses like in the shadows, essentially, right? So I created companies. That, I basically kind of hid behind, and I was able still to, build a full-time income. I was still able to provide value for customers, but at the same time, I didn't have to let go of my privacy. Now, what flipped the switch for me in terms of like wanting to get on the social media was actually just because, as many people who are probably watching this know, entrepreneurship can be a very lonely road. And so I kind of started to see some entrepreneurs pop up on YouTube, and young ones like me, you know what I mean? Guys who are like in their late teens or early 20s. And I saw all these guys popping up. I'm like, dude, I kind of want to join the party. Because like my personality type, I'm actually an extrovert, but I'm the most introverted extrovert. You know, I'm an ENFP. So like, I like being around people, but you know, not just anyone, right? But when it comes to entrepreneurship, again, such a lonely road. And I had been doing it by myself for so many years that it was just kind of bearing on me, like, you know, not having people who are like-minded who can relate with like the problems that I have, which were mostly good problems. You know, we're talking about cash flow and, you know, money and stuff, but, you know, people not being able to relate with like my journey and then just like what I was like working on and struggling with at the time, right? So that's when I made my first YouTube video back in 2017, like sharing my actual journey. And by then I was already like pretty successful in terms of like, I had been making like 1,000 a day for a while now. When I first made that video, I mean, I had like a 911 turbo before like the social media and, you know,
Right.
courses and stuff like that. Like I'd already been living it. And, you know, I never needed to be on social media because, you know, no one knew who I was and no one even saw my face, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I think a lot of it was my background as wanting to be behind the scenes, but also I was camera shy. I mean, you know, I was never really one to like just share myself like so openly like on the internet of all things. Like I've always been very cautious. So anyways, transitioning into the social media period where I started to post on YouTube and stuff, I felt so much amazing feedback from people who were like me, people who wanted to be like me and people who actually looked up to me and were inspired by me. And I did not expect that kind of feedback. Like, you know, when I made this video and I made the videos with this G7X, like this vlogging camera. And I wasn't thinking that millions of people were going to see this.
Right.
I was literally like, you know, I'm just going to make this video, whatever, who cares? And I look back and I'm like, dang, like, I wish I kind of tried a little better because I just kind of like, you know, rattled off those videos with this camera. And that's why my videos were like 30 minutes long, but people watch them. I don't know.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. I mean, like, I want to stop for a second because I want you to like, I mean, you obviously know this, but I just want to admire the second of this atmosphere real quick, because if it wasn't for you sharing your story so and so years ago, I wouldn't be where I am right now.
Wow, that's crazy, man.
It's crazy. Like, just take a second to realize it, right? Like, I wouldn't be where I am right now. And it's a chain. It's like a chain effect, you know. Just because you made that choice to share your story, that's what buys people into each other, is the story, you know.
Yeah.
Like when I started watching you and a bunch of, you know, everybody that's online, and they look at your videos like, oh, Odie makes so and so, right? He does this and this. He drives this and this, you know. And a lot of people think that they're driven to you, like you as a person, because you drive a 911 turbo, because you make, you know, $1,000 in a single day, right? Or because you do whatever, you know, you go to do all these amazing things. But we were brought into you as a person, you know. Your stories what captivated us, right?
Yeah.
And like that's the biggest, that's like the more wowsing side to me, like that word gnarly. It was pretty gnarly to even think that if it wasn't 2 years ago that you made that video sharing your story, to then making this program that you did, this passive income lifestyle mentorship, and then now me being able to make $1,000 in a single day plus that, and now me being able to help those people out, it's crazy. It's insane, you know?
It's crazy to think about. Yep.
So like, yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I love that. And, you know, like this validates everything that I've done. And so, you know, I want to take it back to, you know, when I started posting on YouTube, and that was the first big platform where people started to interact with me. I started making videos on affiliate marketing. And it's crazy because I was already like living my dream life, not in the sense that, you know, I was living in a crazy mansion or anything like that, but I was living my dream life in the sense that I had no boss. I got to wake up without an alarm clock, and I got to design my day.
Oh,
and my
cool.
day was usually spent reviewing headphones. So I don't have any pairs with me right now, but my day was spent just reviewing headphones. And that would involve, and I wasn't doing it every day. I was doing it like maybe a review every couple weeks or so. But basically, my background as a music producer, I love music. You guys can probably see the guitars in the background. But basically getting headphones for free from these companies, testing them, which basically means listening to music for like a week, you know, through these awesome headphones, and then writing up, you know, a little review and then filming a little video. I mean, that to me I was living the dream, in the sense that like I used to work a 9 to 5, like a corporate 9 to 5, and was on salary. And I used to be a full-time student, right? And I got fired from the job. I dropped out of school. So I didn't have a degree. And so, you know, when you look at this on paper, you're just like, oh man, this person's probably a loser, right? And I felt like a loser for a lot of my life, right? But being able to go from that to being able to wake up whenever I want, nobody could tell me anything. Nobody could tell me what I could do, what I couldn't do, what I got to do that day. Nobody like got to decide my schedule. I got to design my days. So from that moment on, I was living my dream life, even before like YouTube. And then, so when I got on YouTube, I was already living it up, like in terms of like, I got to design my days, I got to call the shots. And then from that point on, you know, I've been able to inspire people and contribute back because like I was already like living a really good lifestyle before the social media. And the problem is that like, that I see is that a lot of people like they fake it till they make it. You know what I mean? And they just kind of like they rent the cars and you know they rent the Airbnb, the places, and you know make content from there and try and like flex. But I was never like that, and I actually was already living like my dream life before the social media. So it's kind of interesting that like I didn't need the social media. Like I did it because I just saw that you know maybe I could connect with just some other people that were cool like around the world. Like these days we have the internet. If you want to connect with people who are similar or like-minded, it's super easy. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, this was not possible. But we can do that, literally hop on a call like this, like for free. You know what I mean? Other than the cost of internet. But we can literally talk face to face for free. And you know, you're in Colorado, I'm in San Diego, and it's just crazy. So anyways, what I want to basically say is like the social media, I'd say era of my life, the last 2 years or so, I got into it in the sense that like I think I cared too much about the social media. I cared too much about posting a lot of videos and the comments and the followers and the subscribers. And also on Instagram, I cared too much about what people thought about me and then doing stories and stuff, you know, making Instagram stories and showing people my life. But at the end of the day, like this takes you away from being present. And I'm big, like you obviously know, like mindset wise, I'm big on being present, right? And meditation and letting go of the past and the future, right? Now, the problem is because of social media, it forces you to take yourself out of the present. It forces you to look at the past, look at a video or a post you made like a week ago or a month ago. And, you know, it takes you back there. But then you think about the future, like, oh man, like it would be great if only I had 250,000 subscribers or 1,000,000 subscribers or 1,000,000 followers, right? You know, we have all these thoughts, but at the end of the day, it's not making you happier. And that's why social media really is an epidemic in the sense that, you know, it really just increases depression and anxiety in people because they see something that's just not real. You know what I mean? And even those people who they look like they're living the perfect lives, like I've met people who they have 1,000,000 followers on Instagram and in real life, like they aren't really like about it. You know what I mean? Like they aren't really living that life that they portray online. I would rather live the life that people portray and then not make stories about it and not have to take every 5 seconds to, you know, make a little Instagram story to show people that I'm living my life. Like when you have to prove to people that you're living your life, you're not actually living life. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
I agree like strongly because like I'm kind of on the opposite side because now I'm getting into social media. Like a lot of people didn't even know that I do this. Like if you're watching this video right now, like I'm an affiliate marketer full time. Like I did it behind the scenes, you know, and I never showed anybody. But the biggest thing was, you know, I didn't want to dwell myself into it because I knew if I went into social media, I have a problem of caring too much about what people say. Focusing on the future and not now. Because if you don't, like you said, if you don't focus on the present, you don't focus right now, you're not going to get nowhere. Right? Because what you do today will affect tomorrow. Right? That's just the way that it works. And if for everybody that's watching this, I want you guys to take this in like seriously because this is the reason why I am where I am today. Because inside of you know the mindset side of things, you know, and you're really good at the mindset stuff, and you explain it really good. It's completely transparent, and the energy that you give off is just amazing, you know. But like the biggest thing is when I started generating results, I told myself, okay, Odie gets this because he does this, right? So I said, why doesn't John over here making 5K a month or 1,000 or 2,000 per month passive income, right? And I started asking myself this question. I shared with it on the live stream. I said, okay, if the $5,000 version of Jonathan was doing this, and this, he would be doing that, but I'm not doing it. That's the problem, right? Like a lot of people say, okay, when I start making money, then I'm going to start focusing on my health. When I start making money, then I'm going to start doing X, Y, and Z, right?
Yeah.
And I want to hear it from your perspective, because you've already achieved the financial part. You're on your way to the health part. You've unlocked the mindset part, you know, you're already there. So what's your thoughts on that? You know, when you started getting success, did you start acting like the person you wanted to be, or was it too far in your grasp? How did that go?
I think my life really turned around when I decided to just take control of my life and just to get a firm grasp on everything. Because like you said, people think this way. They think, once I get that car, oh, I'm gonna be happy. Like once I get a Lamborghini, you know, my life will be complete. I'll be driving that car, people will look at me. I'm gonna be enjoying, you know, the 600 horsepower. Like people think this way. Once I get X, I will be happy. Once I get that car, that house. And as someone who's gotten those things, the cars, the house, the apartments, whatever, you know, it doesn't really make you happy. Like happiness comes down to, and this is very hard because most people don't have all these things. So, you know, when we're talking about happiness, well, when we're talking about, you know, being successful, I think about health, I think about wealth, happiness, relationships. You know, these are all different things. Like someone could be very, very rich and financially free, but relationship wise, you could, you know, obviously you could attract the wrong people. You could be in a terrible toxic relationship. You can have just a really, really bad relationship, but be very successful, you know, from your bank account. Now you could have that. Let's say you're not successful financially, but let's say you have a great relationship. And most people are like this in the sense that, like, you know, if you have a good relationship, it's very easy to just be complacent or become complacent and become comfortable because, you know, the truth is, if, you know, you have someone who, you know, is into you and you're into them and you're spending the days watching Netflix and, you know, eating out and stuff like that could be a good life, but like it's not complete. You know what I mean?
Right.
So my struggle over the last like few years has been like, how do you get all of it? How do you get, you know, how do you get the money? How do you get the, you know, physique or, you know, just the peak vitality and health to have energy, right? And then how do you also have the relationships? How do you attract the right partner who can support you, who's right for you, who doesn't, you know, weigh you down or, you know, create a toxic relationship, but instead pushes you. And it's just like, it's hard to balance all these things. It's like juggling, you know, a bunch of things together, you know what I mean? So I've been on that quest, but thankfully, like for the first time in my life, actually just recently, I feel like I've been able to achieve all those like bases, you know. But you know, again, it's a day-to-day thing too. It's not like you can't just get it once and then it's always going to be there. There's always more, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'd say it comes down to taking control of like your life and realize that you are in control. Because a lot of people, I think that they let external factors decide their fate, and they're like, oh, like I can't do this because, you know, my job only pays me this. But it's like, okay, well, what about starting a business, right? Or what about getting a side hustle, adding an extra $1,000 a month, you know, to your income? That would help things out, right? Now, if people are struggling with relationships and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't find a girlfriend or I can't find a boyfriend or a partner. Are you actively reaching out to people every day? Are you actually trying to meet people, or are you just in your room, just, you know, pitying yourself and making yourself feel worse, right? Like, are you actually taking actions towards your end results? So if it's the gym, you know what I mean? If it's fitness, are you actually in the gym 5 times a week or not? It's simple as that, right? Like, and if it comes to relationships, are you actually putting yourself out there? Because a lot of people want things, but they don't go after them in the sense they're not taking actions every day towards that. It can be as simple as like, okay, I'm gonna go on Instagram, I'm gonna DM like 5 people a day and be like, hey, you seem cool, do you wanna hang out? That person who does that, they message 5 people a day for a month, for 3 months, for 6 months. Again, this is the slight edge in effect,
Right.
where, you know, five people a day over the course of a month is 150 people in a month. I mean, if you're reaching out to 150 people, one of them is probably gonna get back to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's doing that, and there's 7 billion people in the world, so you got no excuse. You know what I mean? I mean, you can go through 150 a day, 150 a month, and you know you're not gonna reach a limit or anything like that.
Right.
So that's just relationships. Now, when we're talking financial, this is where I really like spent a lot of years mastering. If you're not taking actions every day to increase, you know, the income from your side hustle, from your business, then how do you expect to get where you want to be? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it comes down to the effort, not the results. So, you know, we were talking about this before the interview a little bit. Like when you got that $1,000 a day and you broke that 4 figures in a single day, which is just insane to me. For you to get those results, you put a lot of work before that. You know what I mean? Like people don't see that. They see the $1,000 a day, but they don't see that you were grinding. You were taking advantage of the program in terms of like asking questions on the live stream and, you know, taking the modules seriously. You were watching the modules and you were actually like implementing them too. It's one thing to watch something and be like, oh, that's cool. And it's another thing to watch it and be like, I'm going to start doing that tomorrow, or I'm going to start doing that right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Very different things. Very different. It's execution. Some people, I know a lot of smart people who are just not really living up to their potential because they lack execution and accountability.
Wow.
And these are things that, you know, if you don't have the execution, if you don't have the accountability, so this could mean, you know, you have to hold yourself accountable or get someone to hold you accountable. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you're not actually putting in the work as well, then you're not going to be, you know, seeing the results, you know? So that's all it comes down to. And the last thing I want to say about social media, by the way, is I'm getting to a point where, you know, I've realized, and I've known this, but I've gone back to the point of focusing on, you know, subscribers, views, followers, likes does not pay the bills. It does not translate into a better business. It doesn't translate into providing for your customer in a better way. It just pushes your ego. And I've been fighting with this ego thing for the last, you know, few years, 5 years, you know, and being a young guy and being successful, like it's hard because like, obviously, and then coming from the background that I come from where, you know, I have pretty humble beginnings in the sense that like, you know, my parents weren't rich. I mean, I was going to school on financial aid and scholarships. And like, you know, I don't come from a wealthy family. And I know people who do and who have so much more opportunities and connections. But for me to be able to go from, you know, where most people are, which is like not having a lot of capital to start. I started my business with $100 or less, you know, to make a website. Like I started with really like not much of anything and able to grow that and to live this life today. You know, it's really like, to me is just, it's a blessing, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, that pretty much wraps up my thoughts on, yeah, if you want to get a goal, you need to take actions every day towards that goal, even if it's small. I mean, you know, that thing about relationships, like DMing like 5 people a day, that can literally take 1 minute if you're fast, you know what I mean?
Right.
like, and then going to the gym, I mean, really like an hour a day, 45 minutes a day. I mean, there are workouts that are like 7 minutes a day from home, you know what I mean? Like if you can't devote that little bit of time and energy, how do you expect to get where you want to be? You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. You know, it's crazy that like I'm very like-minded in the way that you think. And I mean, you're older than me, but the way that I've learned a very important skill, and that's the skill of listening a lot. And that's paying attention to what people say because, oh man, this is absolutely insane. And I think this is crazy. The way that I look at it is, if you guys see the way that Odie, like the way that he acts, the way that he presents himself, the way that he talks, the way that he speaks, the way that this man even breathes, blinks, like I want you to just pay very close attention because I didn't notice this at first, because I watched this also from an interview that you did with Anix and Gall.
Yes.
He talked about, you know, what is a real entrepreneur. You know, entrepreneurs aren't just people think that entrepreneurs are the ones that start businesses, right? The ones that go into Bitcoin, go to do affiliate marketing, internet marketing, all that stuff. And in reality, entrepreneurs are people like you know, the people that focus on the things that are going to get them to their goals, right? Obviously, there's going to be things like the business that are going to get you to your goals, but it's the person that you are as a whole. See what I'm saying? Like the person that everybody, I believe everybody's born an entrepreneur, but when we're going through like the school system, even I don't have nothing against school, but the problem is the environment in school is what shapes you. It puts you in a box, right? Because I don't know, because for me, honestly, I was going to go to college, but I ended up not because of some unfortunate events that happened. But I know that when I entered high school, or when I entered, you know, high school, for example, I entered high school and I was, you know, I had this type of mindset. Once I got out, I had a different mindset, especially when kids growing up, you know, at the age of 0 to 8 years old, it's like they say that your whole life is programmed off the beliefs of the people around you. You know, you don't even get to choose for yourself.
Mhm.
It's insane. You know, it's absolutely crazy. And then you have people like you that say, if you just you have to focus on what you want, right? You have to take those daily actions. And you have to realize that money isn't everything, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I've learned it the hard way.
You learn it the hard way. Yeah, and I agree too, you know, even learning from you and taking your advice, and I take everybody's advice because I love to be quiet when I know there's people that I want information from and I want to gain knowledge and soak it up. Like people like you, and I see other amazing YouTubers as well, and they just show that money isn't everything. Like you said,
Yeah.
relationships, hanging out with your building close relationships, your health, you know, spending time in the right places, just giving back. That's what really matters, right?
Yeah.
And it's honestly a blessing to think that way. Personally, for me, like, I'm just glad that I have that mindset, and that, you know, that you got that mindset as well. But,
Yeah.
you know, I just want to wrap things up here really quick. Is what would you tell and everybody always asks this, but what would you say somebody that if somebody was getting started right now in any online business, right? But let's just make it geared toward affiliate marketing. If somebody was getting started toward affiliate marketing, started today, right now, watching this video, what would you say to them?
Honestly, the thing that you should be focusing on is your core skills and you as a person and leveling up as a person. Because we can talk about techniques, right? We can talk about this and that. But the problem is if I give you, let's say these golden nuggets, or I give you the strategy that's earned $1 million, with affiliate marketing. The problem is if you as a person are not ready to execute on that or hold yourself accountable on a daily basis and take actions towards this goal for a year or multiple years, it's gonna fall on deaf ears. It's not gonna do anything. It's not gonna be worth anything. You know what I mean? So it's so much more than just like the information and the techniques and strategies. Obviously, there's strategies, and I have proprietary methods. You know what I mean? But with that being said, if you are not leveled up in the sense that your mindset is not in the right place, because if you think about professional athletes, right? And you think about people who are in the league, in the NFL, the NBA. I'm a huge sports fan, so I really study a lot of sports psychology. What separates people who are in the league, and I've heard this from people who are actually in the NFL talking to them directly, and what separates those people from the people who only go to, let's say, college, which is still like a huge, being a D1 athlete in college on scholarship is still like a huge accomplishment. You're better than 99% of the people who play that sport in the world. You know what I mean? But even then, what separates the people who make it to the very top, the pinnacle, which is, the league, and then the people who basically become washed up college athletes is the mindset. Okay, it's the mentality. It's what's in between the ears right here. Okay, and that's why I love sports, because I think sports has so much parallel to real life. Because in sports you need way more than just talent, right? There's people who are gifted physically, right? They're big, they're strong, they're fast, but everyone who plays, football at D1 level in college is big, strong, and fast. You know what I mean? Well, everyone in the league is big, strong, and fast. So what separates one guy from the next guy, from the next guy, from the next guy, right? And it all comes down to their mindset and how do they handle themselves off the field, on the field, during practice. Like people in practice, if you're really talented, you may coast and just be like, I'm really good, so I don't need to put in as many reps as these guys. But what really makes the people like the greatest of all time is when you have, if you look at Tom Brady, I mean, if you look at this guy from a physical standpoint, like, let's be honest, he was drafted 199th in his draft class for a reason. You look at him physically, he just didn't have the marks. But when it came down to the day-to-day mindset, this guy is an absolute killer in terms of like his mindset. You know what I mean? He was focused on getting better every single day. He was focused on being the best he can be and contributing to his organization, which is the Patriots. And he told the owner of the Patriots, I'm the best decision you guys ever made. And this was back when he just got drafted, before the Super Bowls, right? Before all the rings, before all the accolades. He knew what was going to happen, and he basically willed that into existence. So, when it comes down to something, I think limiting beliefs hurts so many people because a lot of people don't think that they can. But, we look at these stories of people going against the grain and people who come from humble beginnings and then make it to the very top. It's possible because you got this thing, the human brain, that can literally do anything, but we waste it on feeding it the wrong information or the wrong self-talk, negative self-talk, saying, I can't do this, I can't do that, I'm not good enough. You need to start telling yourself that you are good enough and that you can, because just from flipping that switch, I think that would open up a lot of opportunities and doors for people if they just believed in themselves a little more and, you know, took the time to just grow themselves from a personal development standpoint. So
Yeah. You know what's also pretty crazy is that when the program first launched, I think I was the first question that you ever answered, and it was like, what would you do if you went back to 19 years old? What would you do
oh
differently?
yeah,
And what you just said right now was the same thing you told me 3 months
yeah.
ago. So yeah, I'm speechless towards that part because it's so true. Like I have nothing else to say because you said it perfectly, and I believe every single last bit of it, every
Yeah.
single last bit of it.
Yeah. And the last thing I want to say is that, so when I say you level up your skills, if we're talking about you study up some books on psychology, which is going to raise your sales skills, because sales at the end of the day is just psychology, right? It's influence, it's persuasion. If you can just get good with psychology, when it's time to apply techniques and strategies, like such as copywriting, like let's say you need to make a landing page or you need to make a video or something, you'll know what to say to get people to do what you want them to do. You know what I mean? Like you need to level that up first, because if you have like a good understanding, and another sport I like is mixed martial arts. And the thing is with mixed martial arts, obviously it's a mix of all the different types and styles out there. There's wrestling, there's jujitsu, there's boxing, you know, there's Muay Thai, striking. Now, what makes people really good at in the UFC is not just being good at one thing. Okay, that can only get you so far. If you're a really good boxer, a wrestler takes you to the ground, it's over. You know what I mean? So what's important is that you level up your base. If you look at the best UFC fighters in the world, they have black belts and everything. You know what I mean? It's just crazy because some people, they'll spend a whole decade just to get one black belt in like jujitsu. But these guys have black belts in jiu-jitsu. They're like a boxing champ. They're like a wrestling champ in college. Like they're all these different things. And the people who succeed the most are the ones who are the most, you know, they have a great base, basically. And the base of skills is just through years and years and years of training in the gym, sweat, blood, tears, injuries, everything, you know, adversity, being on the biggest stage, under the biggest lights, performing under pressure. This is molded over time. You know what I mean? But basically, if you level up your core skills, you can go into business, go into making websites, landing pages, content so much better because you'll know exactly, you know, what you need to say in order to get that result, right? Now, if you don't know psychology, you're going to be sitting there at your desk, like looking at the screen, like, okay, you know, I don't know what to say. But basically, if you knew, hey, it's all about the customer. It's all about the customer experience. What's in it for them? You know, what's the benefit for them? They don't care about you. They care about what's in it for them. And then once you have that mindset, you're like, oh, okay, so I'm just gonna say you know, that this is gonna increase your results by 300%, whatever. Like you'll know what to do when the opportunity presents itself. You know what I mean?
Right on.
But level up your skills first, because the difference between when we're just talking about like a landing page, if your conversion rate is 2% versus 1%, which doesn't seem like a huge thing, that's doubling your income in a sense. If that landing page is what sells your product or service, if you can increase your conversion rate by 1%, that could double your income, like literally double it. So, you know, it seems like really small stuff, like minuscule things. But honestly, if you get your skills up first and then you get into this game, then you're going to be a problem. You know what I mean? Right. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's I agree. Solid, man. Super, super good. I don't know. I love this entire conversation, and we're gonna wrap it up here, guys, pretty quickly because I wanted to keep this short. Reason being is because there may or may not be an exclusive behind the scenes or a part 2 to this video. But I just want to thank you, Odie. Thank you for jumping on, giving awesome value. I mean, whenever you just drop nuggets of gold everywhere. Wherever you go, there's always there's always nuggets everywhere. And everybody just wants to pick them up behind you. And I'm glad that I just learned some things. Just sitting on this one call, I learned so many things that I swear they've said it so many times, but when somebody else says it in a different perspective, it just opens up a whole different world, you know? So just thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for the time. I had a lot of fun doing this. Can't wait to do it again.
All right. Awesome. Sounds good. And thank you everybody that watches this on the replay. Stick around. All right. So see you guys later.
Thank you so much for making it all the way up until the very end of this video. If you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Also, if you guys want to learn how to start doing affiliate marketing or join Odie's mentorship program, it's going to be in the bottom of this video, link in the description. It's going to be called Passive Income Lifestyle. Essentially, it's going to be an 8-week program, and every single week you can actually jump on with Odie real time, ask him questions, talk about affiliate marketing, mastermind, mindset, and all the good stuff. Right, with that said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I cannot wait to see you on the next one. See you, my friend.